Hello and welcome back to another episode on Twig T4 on the T4 restoration, the white restoration. That's what we're carrying on with today, and it's going to be part 2 of the front arch and outer sill replacement. So previous episode I cut off the sill, done a couple of little repairs on the inner arch, but today we're going to carry on with the outer sill, which I have already cut down, and that is tape. So this sun, but I have taped it all up ready for primer. So I've gone ahead and I've used one of these Scotch pads just to rough up the inside, clean it all up, bit of degreaser, and then we're going to put some etch primer on, and then stone chip. Then I'm going to take off all those little bits of tape which are masking up where all the plug welds are going to be, and then I can just spray some weld-proof primer on, some zinc primer. But you know, it's now Wednesday. I spent 2 hours Monday, 3 hours yesterday, and that was just wire wheeling, rust curing, because the rust treatment that I use gets rid of all rust. There's no black staining, it's shiny silver metal. It just leaves pitting. I like doing it that way. It's longer, but I like doing it that way because we know we're not going to get any rust back. Right, so here's these arches, that arch. I finally figured out where I was going to cut it at the top. I've cut off that bottom section, so I'm going to use the bottom section of the outer sill, the replacement sill, rather than the bottom section that was on here. And it's just because there's a bit more play in it like this. I don't have a bender or a stretcher or a shrinker, or I've got nothing really, so any kind of fettling I'm going to have to do with a hammer and dolly, and it's just, there's more flex in the material without this other section on here, so it's going to be easier to put this in and manipulate it. Right. Well, I'm going to shake up some etch primer and then get it all sprayed up, get some stone chip on there. Don't know if I'm going to get it welded in tonight. I'm probably just going to get everything prepped. I want to do another treatment, another stage of rust treatment again, just going over everything. Pretty much everything's back to bare silver. Let's go show you. Right, so here, this is what I'm saying. It's still a little bit black in these areas, and there's still some darker areas up here. But another coat of my rust remover that I use, and then wire wheel all of that. Eventually it'll go nice and shiny and silver like the rest of this pitting. Right, so I've just gone ahead, degreased everything. So we're now going to put on some primer, some etch primer. Cheap and cheerful, doesn't have to be anything special. Yeah, just literally a light dusting to start off with, and I'll let that dry. I mean, it's so high out here. Yeah, so we'll let that dry, and then we'll put another coat on, and then once that's dried off, I'll then put the stone chip on. Then once that's dried, I can then take all the tape off, and then where there is bare metal, I'm just going to go cut little sprays of the weld-proof primer, or weldable primer, zinc primer, whatever you want to use. You can use copper primer if you want. Mate, it's so hot. I'm proper sweating and I'm not even doing anything. So what is it? It's like 30 odd degrees today. I hope you're all staying hydrated and looking after yourselves. I've been sweating buckets today at work, and I just haven't been drinking, so I'm not feeling too great, but got to crack on with it, got to crack on. Right, I'm going to let that dry and go get a drink. Actually get a drink. So while I've been waiting for the paint to dry, I've been outside doing a bit more rust protection. Well, yeah, rust treatment, wire wheel, all that kind of stuff. Boring, hot, but next thing, stone chip, then panels. Right, well I've never used this Sill stone chip, so this will be interesting to see how it goes. Also, I'm only going to do mainly the inside. I'm not too worried about the lip because it will only burn away. So, ooh, that goes on weird. Then I said I wasn't going to do the lip, and now I've just gone and done it. Oh, what an idiot. Oh, that went on well thick, look at that. Ugh. Well, as you can see, everything's all been primed. So I've got weld-proof primer on the lips where we're going to be welding. In the centre it's etch primer. I have put the etch primer over the old primer, all the old paint that was there. I did degrease everything to make sure there's no back soil. Everything's been prepped and we are ready for the new panels. So all of that's been weld-proof primer as well. But I'm just waiting for the stone chip to dry, and that takes a couple of hours. And I want the stone chip dry before I weld it on. Otherwise it just goes everywhere, and then it would have been pointless me painting it. Right, so I'll be back out here tomorrow, and we'll get those panels welded in. Well, as you can see, the stone chip has dried. I've taken the tape off. And now where there's bare metal, I'm just going to put on some weld-proof primer. And then we can think about getting these installed. But before I do that, I'm actually going to weld this bit in. So this is that body cut that I said about we had at work. It's only a tiny little section. I did make this piece. Makes no difference if I use this piece or the bit that I made. But I'll probably use this. Why not? So I'm going to get this in. Because of where it is, being right there, just on the other side, just goes here. Because of that, I'm not really going to film it. A big hole. I'll go in like that somehow. Lovely. Get that welded in, and then we'll come back and get all of this on. Right, so we have just welded in that first section. Yes, there is a little bit of a gap. I can sort that out in a minute. Put a little piece of metal in there, fill that up, weld it up. But you can see we've got lovely penetration. You can see just there where that gap was, it was quite large. But lovely, great penetration. So I'll get that bit made up, welded in, and then we'll start welding all of this on. So I went ahead and I put a couple of tacks in there on this front arch, and I also got the ceiling, which you didn't see, and the reason why, because the camera, when I went to have a look at those, you know, what you saw, you'd have only seen my back, and if I kept the camera going, you wouldn't have seen any of this, so, well, you weren't going to see it anyway. But basically, I've lined it all up, got a few tacks in. Obviously I got a bit carried away in a few places, and I went, oh, I better grab the camera before I get too carried away. Oh, pardon me, that sneaked up on me. Pardon me. Right, yeah, and I put the slice down through there, along there, and then it'll go around the front as well. Also, we got sliced up along there. We got nice gaps, so we get full penetration. And I will run a clip now of a vehicle we've done in the workshop, which I've also cut roughly about there as well. And I'll show you that quickly, because you'll be able to see that putting it here is a good place, because you don't have to put loads of filler in and, yeah, everything else. Right, I'm not sure how well you're going to hear this, but I just wanted to use this moment as an example of why I've chosen to cut along there and along there, because as you can see, it's going to require a lot less filler. And although on this one I actually welded along this section here, directly there, but obviously mine, I've gone through that angle, and then we're coming along the bottom there exactly the same. But it doesn't show the filler at all. Yeah, that's a great job Craig's done spraying that. Looking very good. But these panels, just going to say, these are steel wizard panels. But it says all of their panels are made in-house. But there was no stickers on them, just residue from stickers. Yeah, that one there was one here as well, which is usually where the Clockenholm stickers are. So, I don't know, maybe these aren't made in shop. I have no idea. I can't say they are, and can't say they aren't, but there was a sticker that had been removed. Don't know. I mean, we've got Clockenholm at work, and some of the, well, it's got exactly the same scuffs as the Clockenholms, except for the one that we got at work was a lot worse than this one. I don't know, not unless they get the Clockenholm and then they sort out all those ripples and tidy it up as a panel. I'm not too sure. But anyway, I digress. Everything inside there was all primed, stone chipped, so the inner, that repair that I done yesterday, that should all be fine. So I'm just going to go ahead, do all these plug welds all the way up around, plug welds along there, plug welds along here, and we'll whack some primer and paint on it. Yeah, well, I'll cut back in a minute because it's only going to be some welding, grinding. I'll get it done now, I guess. Long. Well, there we have it. The sill and the arch are both in. I've only welded up to there. And then that little bit there, just going to put some sealer in there, sealer down there. Obviously got to clean up all the welds. All fully welded. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got that first one tacked in. Then I hammered it all down so it's nice and flush. I've got that one tacked in. Had to clean up all the welds. So I did make a mistake. These ones here, the holes, lip is actually a lot further in on these two. And then again, sort of like half a hole there, half a hole there. And if you're struggling because you've got a hole and you've made the mistake that I have, get a bit of brass, a bit of copper, whatever, stick it on behind, and then you can weld straight through, and it'll be nice and flush on the back edge, so I don't have to grind that off. Right, well, as this is getting late, I'm going to come out in the morning, get all this ground up, we'll get some paint on there. I've got a scotch pad, so we'll scotch it all up, paint, and then we will jump into the back. Yeah, still got the other side to do, and we will, in fact, up on the board there, on my little whiteboard, is the cost of everything so far. So we'll run through the costs and the time that's taken to do this corner. But when we go into time, I'll break it down in the time, because obviously some days I've spent doing like the underside on that inner sill, and obviously we had the repairs in there as well. So all these things are sort of like extras on top. So, and again, I've kind of rushed it, but it's come out all right. The alignment, it looks good. The gapping, I'm not 100% happy with. So it does close up around here and tighten up a little bit, which is another reason why I've decided to cut there, because it gives it a little bit more flex in that arch to bring it round. I'm now happy with that. Right, I'm going to get myself packed up and we'll see you in the morning. Right, so that is the arch and the sill all painted now. I say painted, it's just how to cut the cans, chucked on it, put some etch primer on, bit of high build, and then a rough colour match, nothing special, but it's just some paint to protect it. It's annoying because every time I close this door I get loads of dirt falling off, but that will brush off because well, it doesn't have to be perfect. I haven't done any of the filler work. You can see it is going to require some filler work, only a little bit. Again, a little bit of filler work down there, tiny bit of filler work there. It's also going to need a little, just a little bit along that edge because it doesn't look perfect. But we put some seam sealer in there now. It's all looking good. Happy days. And now we just need to work out times and hours. So I think what's best is I want to start editing this video as well because it's getting late on a Saturday. So we'll start editing, and then when I get towards the end, we'll discuss the times. Right, I'll speak to you in a bit. Right, well, I'm running out of time. I'm editing, I'm trying to get a few things done. I was going to go out into the back of the van, but the audio isn't great. I don't actually have the mics. I wanted to get some mics, but I haven't ordered them yet, and I keep going online to order them and then getting sidetracked and doing other stuff instead. But I just thought I'd quickly tell you how much things have cost, how long things took. So it actually took 28.5 hours in total. That's to cut out the arch, put in the new arch obviously, and everything else. I will leave just there, we'll have a little print up of the time. So that's how long, that's a breakdown of everything. But yeah, this job's taken 28.5 hours. Cost wise, so I got the panels from Steel Wizards, and they were, I think they were 50p cheaper than Heritage per panel. But in total, with delivery, £121, but that's for the panels on the near side as well as the off side that I've done today. So that's the prices, that's the time. We will, at the end of the whole build, we'll actually go through with the times and the prices and everything else. It's quite long, and it's quite a lot of effort into the back of the van each time, working it all out. I'm just going to go through at the end. And then we can also reveal the price of how much we're going to sell it for. But there's still a long way to go before we get to that stage. Right, well, I'm going to go carry on and chuck this into the video. And I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.